Per usual, everything on this channel is for educational purposes only and is not intended as financial advice. Let's take a look at some alts today. Not much has changed week over week here. Still very volatile, still mainly bearish on trend. A few standouts that we will mention in today's video. But dominance still at 61%. There's a lot of calls for dominance to roll over. Haven't seen that yet. Really not much else to say. It's pretty black and white as far as the trend goes. Now, if you have some viewpoint that you think dominance will roll over, then you're pre-positioning ahead of that. It's just anybody who's done that in the past 2 years hasn't done so hot relative to BTC. In aggregate, SOL is down 44% in a month. I mean, things are very volatile on the alt side of things. And another way to think about this is, okay, we're at 61%. Do you think it's going to 75 plus, 72 plus? I don't think it's impossible, just theoretically, based on flows into ETFs versus flows into alts via stablecoins. It's still, to me, pretty heavily in favor of dominance going higher. But if you're in disagreement of that, then you're probably allocating more into alts here. So technicals and fundamentals suggest to me that BTC still makes more sense over alts. One counter argument you could say is, well, BTC is up X% and alts aren't. Alts are down significantly. So you've got this relative value breadth argument. Certainly something you can say as a thought process, but I don't know how that necessarily is going to pan out for you, just because there are so many alts, emissions are so high, unlocks are so high, and BTC has a pretty fixed and low supply and issuance. Total 2 still below the daily cloud, and good news, bad news again. Bad news is this is below the cloud, it's bearish, fine. Good news is the next time it's back above the cloud, it should be a pretty clean signal because everything is resetting here. You're getting a bearish cloud probably this week. And just like November, that's what you're waiting on. The issue is opportunity cost. How long do you wait? What do you do here if you're just trading alts and ignoring the BTC value? Is this another falling wedge similar to the multi-month falling wedge from February to October? And I guess that depends on your opinion of BTC. If you think BTC is going to keep ranging for another couple months, alts probably bleed. That's just what we've seen. If you think there's going to be a million more meme coin launches, then alts probably bleed. If you don't think stablecoins are going to continue printing, alts probably bleed. If you think we're going to continue to see QT over QE, alts probably bleed. So you get the point. I mean, there's a few things you can pay attention to here, but ultimately, unless BTC is bullish, but not too bullish to steal all of the attention, but as long as it's bullish and not bearish, alts are an amplification of that and they do better, but we just haven't seen that. We haven't seen BTC bullish over the past 4 weeks. Looking at others, it's the same story, far below the daily cloud, fully bearish here. And it's simple. You're always looking for the same thing. You're always looking for price above cloud, bullish TK cross, bullish cloud, or a bullish TK recross with price above cloud. Those are the two things. It's not about the fake outs. Fake outs happen. That's part of trading. You're just looking for the pitch down the center of the plate, and that would be the next breakout above the cloud. So we are very far away from that. And what would you want to see here? Some sort of bottomy pattern. Ideally, double bottom, triple bottom, Adam and Eve, something, right? I don't really see anything here. Into mid-24, it was a double bottom. All of mid-2022 into 2023 was a pretty clean inverted head and shoulders here on the others index. And it's still super early for any of that, right? It just is. This stuff tends to bleed for months when it bleeds and tends to run hot for a few months when it runs hot. So you're hot or not. And right now you're not hot. And that's the way it is. It's hard to think that you need to force trades on alts when the momentum just isn't there. They are momentum assets after all. Total 2 over BTC, stripping out stables also. This, no question, it's bearish. Okay, if you think it's bottomed, go for it. You could have said that at any point in the past 2 years, but I would much rather see this back above the daily cloud. If you don't like the cloud, use a different trend metric, but it will probably tell you the same thing, in that this is still bearish. This still has downward momentum relative to BTC. It's pretty cut and dry. You just have to have the discipline to wait and the execution and ability to believe in a 2021 style breakout on something like this, which we may see this year. It just doesn't look like it yet. It's just a little too early. ARK is a great example of something you're looking for on the weekly. It took ARK 3 years to bottom post-pandemic. And the weekly didn't lie to you. The moment it was out of the cloud, that was a great entry. Was it the best entry? No, but it saved you a lot of time sitting in this for 3 years, right? And ARK is still very bullish. For those of you who don't know, this is just a highly risky speculative side of the market, this ETF basket. And it's a good proxy for alt activity or the types of individuals, retail traders trading alts. So it's a good sentiment gauge for alts. Before we go any further here, let me mention today's video sponsor, Kraken Pro. Kraken Pro is a complete overhaul of the Kraken trading experience with a one-stop shop for advanced and professional traders. Kraken Pro enables efficient trading execution across multiple markets with a UI that allows for unique optimization tailored to your trading style. You can check out Kraken Pro at the link in the description of this video. Not investment advice. Crypto trading involves risk of loss. Cryptocurrency services are provided to U.S. and U.S. territory customers by Payward Ventures, Inc., PVI, DBA, Kraken. BTC still in the 94, 96-ish range, 94, 99 range, still in the daily cloud. This position in general is a no trade zone on anything, because when you're in the cloud, you should expect volatility. You should expect directionless chop. That's what the cloud is literally built for, to tell you when you are bullish, when you are bearish, and when you are non-trending, when you are headed in no specific direction. Outside of that, you can take the edge-to-edge approach, where typically what we've seen on the daily is if we start to get into a daily cloud like this, at some point we try to reach for the other edge of the cloud. Doesn't look super bearish here, I'll give you that, but this is not where you want to live on any chart for any asset. You do not want to live in a very thick daily cloud like this, because it's literally telling you anything is possible. Anything. 83, 96, 98, 90. That's just the cloud. You've got the weekly support there at like 88, 89, bottom of the cloud at 84, and there's a yearly pivot at 80. If this can pull back above 99, alts probably start to look better. If this can get a bullish TK recross price above cloud, that's a great entry signal. If this can morph into a potential ascending triangle into Q2, that's also a great signal that gives you time to build a position, have a specific setup, have a specific breakout in mind. Whereas here, what do you have? You're sort of at a range low, sort of not. I'm also kind of worried about this, which would be some sort of poorly drawn head and shoulders here. It just doesn't quite look bullish yet. So above 99, I like it a lot. With a bullish TK recross price above cloud, I like it a lot. Here, it's just nothing. It's directionless chop. So over the past 4 weeks, alts have been much of the same, kind of directionless chop. Ripple trying to pull out of the daily cloud there. Still not a great signal on cloud, on trend. Still have to be somewhat worried about a head and shoulders there. And you also have to be worried about how much more of a move are you expecting? Do we see ETFs or not? Do we see additional headlines that are bullish? It's almost like in its own environment here relative to most other alts at the moment. Solana last week or Sunday, I forget when, we were talking about this head and shoulders. You don't have to like it. You don't have to love it. This doesn't have to reach 140 or 150 or whatever it is, but it certainly wasn't bullish. It's also below the 20-week moving average there. So if you are holding this, you're not happy. But the good news is, if you're not holding this, the cloud's telling you, wait for price back above the cloud. That may not happen until April, May, June. That may not happen for a long time here. And there certainly isn't some sort of multi-week bottom. This is just freshly being sold off, largely because of the meme coin nonsense that's going on. ETH, really nothing to say, and there really won't be anything to say on ETH until it's closer to 4K. That's it. That's kind of it for the year. That's been it for the past year and some months now. Just an inability to get out of the range. On the daily cloud, that would be 3,100. Otherwise, it's just bearish chop down here. Low time frames, something may be trying to happen, but I think it's a little too early for that. LTC doing better than most. Similar to Ripple, thanks to some ETF potential headlines here. It's above the daily cloud. It's not pretty, but it's chopping in a place where good things happen. One way to tackle this would be to look at the range depth and just project that higher. So if we cut off the wicks, we can say 160, 190 would be the breakout. And just the fact that we're talking about a potential breakout is much different than just about everything. So I like that this has been ranging for months here. I like that it's got a potential catalyst coming up. And I like that it's above the daily cloud. So it does look tradable relative to everything else, which does not look very tradable here from a trend perspective. SWI, this is what you want. I mean, it's right here. This is what everybody wants. Price above cloud, above the 20 week. My guess is alts are going to look better closer to Q2. That's my guess. It's probably going to take at least that long. So we've got a few more videos in us where there probably isn't much to say, but we'll look at it. We'll look at it. For this chart, anything above 388 would be great. But one other thing you had to kick this off, you had outperformance relative to alts at the time. You know, this is kind of like where ETC is, I feel, or sorry, not ETC, LTC. It's ready to outperform. It's got a catalyst. SUI was down here with this diamond bottom, inverted head and shoulders. So it was ahead of it at almost everything in September. And that's always something else to watch out for. Is there outperformance in a specific alt or sector for whatever reason? Tau still chopping around below the cloud there. Tau also had outperformance in September last year. Messy, choppy range, which we had talked about. But what is this here, right? What is this? I don't have a good answer. I have no idea. It just looks like chop. We can say it's trying to bottom. Okay. But what is the setup? What is your confidence in that setup? Entry, exit, stop loss, sizing. What does that look like here? For me, I don't feel confident enough to even posit a trade. Just doesn't look ready yet. Trump down to 16. I don't really have anything to say regarding this. Above the 4-hour cloud, I guess, is an idea to watch, but I'd expect that to just continue to bleed out with everything else over time on Solana. That is a meme coin. Doge below the cloud, below the 20 week. Not much to really speak of there. Above 30 cents. And it looks to be go time, but I just think what you need here isn't a specific level on price. You just need time. You just need time into Q2. You're also getting that head and shoulders on Sol BTC play out. Not what you want to see if you're bullish Sol. For the rest of these here, let's click through, see if there's anything notable. FTM up 20% today, up significantly from the low, but unless you're trading and looking at this stuff on like maybe the 4-hour, it certainly helps to have an extended downtrend breaking out. It helps to have a low time frame inverted head and shoulders. I try to watch this stuff for this video on the daily just because those tend to be the more actionable signals, whereas some of the stuff on the 4-hour kind of expires by the time people watch the video. But if you're actively trading alts, you're probably on lower time frames anyway, and that's always something to watch for. Just basic shapes, right? Basic stuff like that is always something to watch for. Cardano on the daily, nothing to say. Looks like Doge, looks like a few other charts. Link, I think, looks the same. Yep, below the cloud there, not much to say. Curve, far below the cloud there. Really nothing to say. The last time we liked Curve was November 16th. Why? Daily breakout on the cloud. It also had a diamond bottom down there that we talked about at the time. ETH BTC still trending bearish. Doesn't even look close to putting in a confident bottom, even though this could be a bottom. I thought 035 to 039 would be a decent level as a bottom, and that just kept going. So there's that for you. Nothing bullish to speak of there. Pepe, like a lot of these others, just completely fell off the table. Back to their November breakouts. Not where you want to be, not where you want to live. Dot, same thing. This stuff, it all just needs time. It needs time to make a decision on how many sellers versus buyers there are. Monero, yes, it's above the cloud. Yes, it looks fine. Yes, it's bullish. It's never going to outperform anything in a bull market. Nobody can buy it outside of Kraken. It's listed in very few places, but yes, it is still bullish at a time when nothing really is that bullish. Ondo just got this weeping willow pattern falling below the daily cloud. Not bullish. Ripple BTC, similar to Ripple USD. Entry here, I don't see it personally. I'd prefer something like LTC BTC, zooming way out on this. This is what you're looking for. Again, if you're looking for patterns based on the cloud or any trend metric, what I always love to see is multiple months below a level. This is 2 years breaking down, bottoming, and rounding out. Okay, great. That's a trade. There you go. I drew it already. That's a trade that's worth considering. And that's what you'd want to see on something like 8BTC to be sure that a bottom is in. Apt, ugly breakdown on the daily. It's bounced a bunch today. I guess we can check the 4-hour. I don't know. It's tough because a lot of these have such huge unlocks. A lot of these, most people don't use for the utility purposes. So unless they have momentum, they just generally bleed. So I don't like that position either for Apt. Tia, remember Tia? Doesn't look good. Bearish, below the cloud. You want some sort of pattern, something. I mean, even this had multiple months. This was a decent bottom attempt, and it just didn't matter. Sold off anyway. So the last time you had a great signal, it didn't go anywhere. I would want at least like a 1 to 2 month bottom attempt here before I touch this thing. Just way too early. JUP, ugly. You know, it's Solana beta. So if Sol is bearish, you expect everything in the ecosystem to be bearish. Sitting at the bottom of the range traders might take a stab here, but not for me. It's really gone nowhere since listing. Lido has a decent choppy pattern attempt here. I like it a little better, closer to 230, but it's something to watch in a time where there's not much else to do. Sure, I like the setup. Aave, below the cloud there, not much to say. AVAX, below the cloud, not much to say. And losing everything back to November, just completely resetting. Not a good look in general. Just tells you that most of that is just pure speculation. XLM, below the daily cloud there, looks worse than Ripple. Near, far below the cloud. There was a point in time when this had a chance to do very well relative to the AI stuff, but it just didn't, right? It rolled over. It spent months bottoming, broke out, barely reached the target, and then completely rolled over. So why anybody would want to sit in that, I don't know. Render, same deal, completely rolling over. Uni, far below the cloud, not bullish. INJ, far below the cloud, despite a bottom attempt, a multi-month bottom attempt again that didn't even break out, didn't go anywhere. Doesn't look bullish here. Algo, below the cloud, nothing really to speak of there. And you get the hint. You know, this is why we start the videos with Total 2 and others, and Total 2 over BTC. That gives you a sense of the general vibes. ICP, below the cloud. Not where you want to be. FET, below the cloud. Say, far below the cloud. Far below the cloud. That's not an all-time low, is it? No. Just not what I want to buy. It's just not for me. You have no idea if this is the bottom. You have no idea if this is going to outperform anything. You have no idea if some unlock is just going to sell off. You just don't know, right? So why bother? WIF, ugly downtrend on WIF still. And yes, there will be a day that this will be up 25 to 50%, undoubtedly. But the question is, how much more will it continue to bleed before it gets there? I guess we could look for divergences. Not really any divergences yet. I don't think this looks bad enough to buy. I don't really see a pattern or anything. At least I can't see anything. So if you see anything, let me know. But not for me. SHIB also giving everything back. No. Bonk. Giving everything back at lows. Not great. Not great. Not where you want to be. 88 BTC completely resetting there. Not bullish. Filecoin I think is at the bottom of the range. And when you spend years setting something up like this in the chart and then don't break out and just reverse, that is not a bullish signal. It just isn't. So this tells me there are tons of people waiting to sell at 8, at 10, and they're just ready. They're just ready to sell regardless of what's going on in the market. Last one here, let's look at ENA. ENA on the daily has sold off. This is probably at least 40%, 70%. Okay, I was a little under on my estimation there, but very tough, right? This had a great setup here. It played out, broke out, technicals were great, and just gave it all back. Alts are not a buy and hold. They just aren't. They're really great trading vehicles when momentum is present, but without momentum, they tend to just bleed. They tend to just bleed. So it's important to have an opinion on BTC. Alts generally follow to an amplified degree. That's all I have for this one. Like, dislike, comment, share, subscribe, and happy trading.